Hey, welcome back to the Group Project Podcast. This is episode number 83. And for the first time in Group Project Podcast history, we've got a repeat guest. Plus one. We got a repeat guest plus one here. So I did not pull up the episode number, but we had, Lauren, do you remember at all? You probably don't. I'm putting you on the spot.
Not the episode number.
Way back before the holiday break, because I know we talked about holiday eating and cheating with the eating before the holidays. I met with Lauren Ross, who is one half of the Healthy Teacher duo. And I reached back out. It's been like 9 or 10 months since we've talked.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing some amazing things. So I reached out to Lauren and I said, Lauren, how about you and Raegan come on this time? And we just kind of loop back and revisit some ideas about your company and share some ideas about living healthy, working out, dieting with listeners, because I got great feedback on that show. I'm talking way too much. Welcome to the show, Lauren and Raegan. How are you guys doing today?
We are great. Thank you so much for having me back on. The first time was awesome. And I know that I feel like I can speak for Raegan when I say we're both really, really excited to be on again.
Very cool. Very cool. So they are the co-creators of The Healthy Teacher. And first of all, you got to give these guys a follow on what you guys are on Facebook, everything, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn.
We are just not on Twitter. That's the only one we haven't hopped on yet.
Yeah, that's okay. Twitter usually is kind of negative these days. So, but give these guys a follow. And I'm just going to read your bio here before I let you guys kind of share your backgrounds and kind of how you met each other and how the Healthy Teacher came to fruition. But the Healthy Teacher is a unique wellness program created exclusively for the life of a teacher. And I think, Lauren, we talked last time that we can throw educational leaders in there as well, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
It's a one-stop online platform that provides the tools for educators to regain their energy and health. Very cool, very much needed. And with all the health issues that are going on. So again, share your backgrounds. You can each take a turn if you want, explain how you met each other, and kind of how you got to this point of where you're creating this one-stop shop online platform for people.
Yeah. So we actually met very randomly. I was giving softball instruction at the time, and Raegan was still in high school. There's a 7-year age difference between us. And I gave her some hitting lessons. That's originally how we met. And then, so I kind of got to follow her through college. And then at this time I had opened up a personal training company, and she needed a trainer for a pageant she was going into. And so I trained her, and that's kind of how we got hooked back up. And she just did awesome and caught on to things really quickly and had just a really deep love for people. And that is what I wanted to incorporate in the business that I had. And so I asked her if she would join, and she did. And
here we are.
But with the Healthy Teacher, prior to opening up my training studio, I was a teacher for 2 years and got to see how unhealthy a lot of the teachers' lives were, but how they just had no clue that they were super unhealthy. It's just what they had done and what they had seen and what they had become accustomed to. And so because of that, it didn't seem abnormal to them, but coming from a fitness background, I was like, wow, things can be better. Things can be different. And then after opening up the training studio, I worked with countless educators, and the majority of them, basically all of them with the exception of one, were on some form of anxiety medication.
Wow.
And while I do believe there's a time and a place for medication, I don't want to discredit that. I thought it was interesting that the majority of the people who are on medication were from that field. And so my thought was something needs to be different, or a change needs to happen. And Reagan has a little bit different background and reasoning for the healthy teacher, but with that understanding, and then seeing those teachers after training with either me or Reagan come off of their medication or lower their dosages exponentially after a few months, we kind of got together and we were like, why would we not create something like this? Like there was nothing else. We kind of looked and there just wasn't anything specifically for educators.
Yeah. So I was actually raised by two educators. My dad was a middle school guidance counselor and my mom still is a principal. And more than that, I have about 17 to 19 other educators just in my family. Wow. So every female went into a school building except for me. I went into a special needs program where I help special needs adults and kind of taught through that way. And then I joined Freedom Fitness. So I consider myself, I was kind of a teacher. I just wasn't underneath the state, I guess, in that way. But I was able to see firsthand how the education system, how when you go in as an educator and you become family with everyone there and you begin to see your students as your own children. And then when you leave the doors, you don't just leave it behind because that is your family. So it does have an impact on the home life and your children and the energy you have left over to give to your children. Thankfully, I had two loving parents who did the best they could, with the energy that they had. But I was able to see the impact and the effects of the lifestyle of an educator and how it does affect the family at home. So when Lauren and I started training educators and then seeing them come off their anxiety medication, like Lauren mentioned, we said, like, we have to do something about this. And I just thought back to my whole long life of 23 years at that point and said, yes, this is definitely needed. Let's do it.
Do you want to give us maybe a quick summary of where the healthy teacher started? It's always fascinating hearing these stories about how entrepreneurs or people who take that leap of faith and create their own business get from starting off to where you guys are at right now. Do you maybe kind of want to share how that's worked?
Yeah. So 2018 is when we originally had the idea and we started kind of crafting things for it. It was all on paper. And then we kind of put some things together, had a really simple website that we had put together, a really simple program, and went to a few school systems with it and just got nothing back. It wasn't a very needed thing at the time. And so we, instead of trying to push it to other districts, we took a pilot group through of teachers and had them go through it and then give us feedback on what needed to change. Mm-hmm. And so we took about, what do you say? Was it 7 or 8 months with the pilot group?
Probably.
Somewhere around there, and got feedback from them and then literally revamped the entire program. We were like, none of this really works. Okay. Yep. Because while we had kind of somewhat been in the education field, we had already had backgrounds of fitness and health. And so some things we just didn't realize could be issues and that we needed to change. So we did that, changed literally everything up. And then 2020 happened and people actually started to realize the need for teacher health. So in a way, 2020 was beneficial to us in that aspect. We had one school system out of Texas come on for about the first year. And then at the end of 2020, we decided that we wanted to go full time into the program. We believed in it, and we didn't think that we could really give everything to educators the way that we wanted to if we were still working other jobs. Okay. And so we left South Carolina, moved back to North Carolina, where I'm originally from, and really just went in with the program. Wow. And now we are in 9 different states And
we're going to be adding 3 more by the end of this school year. And then within the states that we're already in, we're going to be opening up new districts there. So we're super excited about it. And we're thankful that we had the courage to take the risk.
Yeah.
And really what made us take the risk is we understood the need and how deserving this field of people are to have our program. And we believe in it.
Yeah.
We believe in it.
So maybe explain what program you've talked about the program. And for those people who haven't, I'm going to go find, when you say this answer, I'm going to go back and figure out what episode number that was. Maybe describe what options districts have. If somebody's listening and they're a school leader, a principal, a superintendent, or maybe they're a teacher who's aspiring to leadership, what options do you give school districts, schools, and even individuals?
Okay. Yeah. So the program initially was created for individuals, and then we realized how major teams were within the schools and how they were already doing things with teams, and how that was encouraging and motivating to teachers. And we've also noticed the big issue of self-accountability and holding yourself accountable. And so what we did is we flipped the Healthy Teacher into a more of a team aspect, a teamwork program. So for an individual, you can sign up and you do get the benefits of the Healthy Teacher, but you won't get the thrill of the Healthy Teacher without getting your pals in there, getting your peers in there, and working as a team. So we do target districts and schools. And what happens is the Healthy Teacher recognizes your school's email domain. And so every person that comes in under the school email, it says, hey, you're from this district or you're from this school. And it goes ahead and says, okay, your district, tell me what school you're from. And so you get to choose your school. And then from within the school buildings, it filters you and asks you to choose a team, so that even on a district-wide level, the teams are having, the schools are having competitions within each building to make it more personable.
Yeah.
You actually see the person on your team every day. And from there, we hold competitions. So we have games that are 2-week periods where they compete with points. And right now they can earn points for working out, for answering our daily investment questions, which basically help our teachers and educators secretly form new habits that they don't even realize they're creating. Yeah. Because it's just simple, basic steps on a day-to-day basis that our main focus is not to get someone from 1 and all the way to 100 and jumping right in, but we want to create daily habits where by walking with them hand in hand of today, this is your focus. Okay, tomorrow, this is your focus. Mm-hmm. And one step at a time, getting them to wake up one day and be like, I actually crave a salad today. What? I hope I answered that question.
Yeah. To kind of summarize that, you can come in as an individual, you can come in as a district, and you can get the entire program. The only thing with districts and schools, they get to be filtered through teams, and they get the competition aspect with them as well.
Okay. So I think you mentioned, and I remember it was episode 39, by the way. It was way back then, which, yeah. But if somebody's listening and they want to go back and listen to Lauren and I's first conversation, which will touch on some of the same things, they can. So it's a mix. I love what you said about some of those habits, but really, are you focused on working out, fitness, as well as dieting? Or when you enroll in the program, are you looking at both? Are you just looking at one or the other? Maybe explain that a little bit.
Yeah, we have split the program up into 3 different aspects of health. We have a mental health aspect, we have a nutrition aspect, and then we have a fitness aspect as well. So we wanted to hit on all 3 because you're not fully healthy if one of those is lacking. And so we wanted to give educators the opportunity to really hone in on each of those areas and grow in their health in those areas in whatever way, whatever shape they want to.
Yeah. So we do offer, like Lauren said, we do offer nutrition, personalized nutrition. We have customizable workouts where you can tailor them to your fitness level. And then we have a learn page that coincides with our daily investment questions, where we hit on mental health. We even give you some bell work activities for your students. One thing we tell our teachers for mental health is, like, remember you matter, and go on our Facebook group, which they get to be a part of when they're a member. Go on our Facebook group and tell everyone why you matter. And then as a bell work for your students, remind them that they matter and ask them to write down 3 things of why they're important. So we try to, make it hit on all aspects of their life and not just be a person on a screen.
Yeah.
We try to make it personable as much as possible.
Love that. So on this show, we always try to break it down to principles, or rules of thumb, I like to call it, that we should follow. So I really want to dig into your philosophies on working out, dieting, and I might even throw the mental health piece in there because it's so big.
Yeah.
So what are some of just the basic rules or principles you guys live by that we would see in your program in terms of working out?
Yeah. Find what you enjoy. If that, whatever that looks like, it doesn't have to look like everyone else. I know that for when CrossFit first started, that was the really big thing. And I have nothing against CrossFit. I think it's awesome, but it's just not for everyone. But if everyone thinks they have to do that in order to be in shape, then that's a problem. And it's not something that's going to be lasting for them. So find something you enjoy. It's okay if you start something and you're like, I don't really like this. Try something else and try something else. It's just really getting more movement in. I think that strength training or resistance training is incredibly beneficial. There's a lot of research to that, but there are tons of ways to do that. And that's just simply building muscle. And if you're a female, you're not going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're just going to be more lean, and it's going to help you prevent osteoporosis and sarcopenia. So super beneficial to be able to build muscle, but know that there are tons of different ways to do that from a fitness standpoint. From a nutrition standpoint, that's going to depend on what your goals are. If your goals are to lose body fat, you 100% have to be in a calorie deficit. You just have to be. And there are tons of different approaches to that, and whatever approach works for you, do that. But also, just like with training, find something that fits your lifestyle. If you're just wanting to kind of be a little bit more healthy, then I would say take your existing diet, the diet that you have now, because diet is really just the construct of the foods that you currently eat. That's what a diet is. And so take what you're doing now and just make small changes to it. So if you typically get, the super size at McDonald's, just cut it down to a regular.
Yeah.
Really small things make a huge impact over time. And so don't think you have to change everything up. Just make those small little changes right now. So those are my 2, I guess, recommendations.
As far as the program, we understand that, we're going to have some beginners and we're going to have some really advanced people. So that was kind of difficult at first to make it work for everyone, but I think we've done a good job at it. For our beginners, we just encourage them just to get steps in. We have a step counter, and our next update, you're going to get 25 points for walking 10,000 steps a day. And we tell them, show yourself grace, because not everyone gets 10,000 steps a day. Yeah. And that's okay. If you get 50 steps a day, try adding 50 more until that's easy, and then add 50 more. So in terms of working out, you start with whatever you can do, and that's a win. If you're adding something new, if you're growing the next day, you're winning. Yeah. And you will wake up one day and be like, oh, I'm going to the gym today and I'm doing strength training. Who am I? But it started with the very basics.
Yeah, that's good.
What about just and I know I'm looking at your website right now, you're talking about, you've got workouts that are as short as 30 minutes a day. Is that kind of the rule? You're like, is 30 minutes the magic number, or is there a magic number for number of minutes a day that you're hoping for? I know you mentioned like just get those steps in. But is there, is it 20 minutes? Is it 15? Or maybe I'm trying to make it too simple.
No, something is always better than nothing. At the end of the day, like something is always better than nothing. You can get great work, like really great work 3 times a week with 30 to 40 minute workouts. And that's really what our workout times kind of consist of with all the workouts in the Healthy Teacher. And part of that is because we know that teachers don't have a ton of time, or anybody in the educational field doesn't have a whole lot of time typically.
Yeah.
And so keeping workouts a little bit shorter ends up being a lot more beneficial because they can stick to it long term.
Yeah. And I would say too, there is no magic number for one particular person, because it really is, if your goal is fat loss, it really does come down to an energy balance, like energy out versus energy in. And say I'm intaking 2,600 calories a day. That may cause me to have to work out an hour a day in order to get myself in a calorie deficit. But for someone who's only eating 1,400 calories a day, they could get away with maybe a 20-minute workout. And I'm just making those numbers up.
Yep.
But it really does come back down to, are you burning more than you're intaking?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I was going to ask about that. If they're like, okay, calorie deficit, and you threw out a couple numbers, I'm right on your same wavelength there, because I do calorie deficit all the time. But what should somebody do? Like, is there a formula you can say right now, or should they go to your website? Should they Google search calorie deficit? Like, what should they do when they hear the term calorie deficit?
Yeah. So calorie deficit is simply calories or energy. So it's simply burning more calories than you intake per day. And over the course of time, if you do that, you will lose body fat, because that is anatomically the only way to lose body fat. So a good way for someone to start off, if they're like, I don't know what my calorie deficit would be. I mean, if you're a teacher, you could definitely sign up for the Healthy Teacher. Not gonna
sure.
not plug that. But kind of a more simple route, write down all the foods that you have to eat yesterday. Write those down, and you can get the MyFitnessPal app. It's free. So you can get the MyFitnessPal app, plug all those foods in, look at the calories that you ate for that day, and take away 400 to 500 calories. And that's a calorie deficit. And most people, they don't miss those 400 to 500 calories, especially if you're someone who has a good amount of body fat to lose. You're not even going to really realize that you're missing those calories.
So I'm currently a superintendent, which is a lot more desk or seat work compared to when I was an assistant principal or a principal, and I was running around the building like crazy. Yeah. Is there a way you can measure? Because you've talked about like how much you burn, how many calories you burn. I'm sure I was burning a lot more calories when I was in the buildings, like running around, putting out fires all day, right? Is there a way you can like measure the calories burned while working? Is there a way you can do that? Or I'm just curious. I know I'm kind of throwing you on the spot there, but if you are moving around, and teachers too, teachers are on their feet all day. They're standing up, they're sitting down, they're working with kids. Is there a way to kind of measure those calories burned in those positions?
Yeah, not really, honestly, not super accurately. I know that people have the Fitbits and the watches and all those things. Those have proven to be very inaccurate, sometimes 50%, like up to like 50% inaccurate. And so I wouldn't really base your expenditure or your calories burned off of those kinds of things. You'd be better off with the example I gave before, to track all the food that you're eating. And if you're staying pretty consistent with your weight, that's probably around your maintenance level. And so if that's the case with the activity that you do throughout the day, just cut those calories down a little bit and you'll be good to go.
It really is trial and error.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you measure progress? And do you recommend looking at the scale? Do you have some way to measure body fat? Do you do like progress pictures, or is it just keeping track of, how do you measure progress?
Yeah.
So within the Healthy Teacher, we have a weight log where you put in your weight. We have a before, and we call it a current photo because we ask them to update their current photo every 6 weeks. But we really push our teachers to know that those two things are not the only forms of tracking your progress. Some things that we overlook are things like, how is your sleep patterns? Have they improved? How is your energy? Has it improved? How is your temper and your attitude? Has it improved? Your alertness, your awareness, all of those things are major signs of progress that may happen before your body begins to change, or before the weight on the scale begins to change. And if you miss those, then you could stop too soon and miss ever seeing the changes that, the world says we should be looking for, which is our body image and the scale. But I have had so many clients who have lost only 3 pounds on the scale, but when you look at their before and after pictures, you would think they've lost 30.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the coolest stories that we have from the Healthy Teacher is we had one of our teachers message us and say, guys, I've never been able to go out and play kickball with my kids, and I can do that now. And that was like
so cool.
Such a huge win for her, because she was able to engage with her kids in a way that she was never able to do before. And that is, being able to build greater relationships is probably the greatest form of progress that you're going to get from any sort of program.
So I mentioned before the show, and I'm going to kind of turn here a little bit, that this episode's actually sponsored. This specific episode is sponsored by Viterbo University. And Viterbo is huge in the Midwest. I know you guys are a little bit further outside the range, but they've got programs for educators and all over the Midwest. And they really focus on like those master's programs where people are doing night classes online, right? So, and that, you talk about a busy day as a teacher regardless. And if you've got kids at home and a family, good luck. But now you throw on like a night class, or maybe you're on the computer, you're doing Zoom or you're doing Google Meets from 6 to 9. How do you help people who have crazy busy schedules? I mean, what would you recommend? Just kind of maybe take us through what you would talk through with that individual, with that client, about trying to get a workout in, trying to eat healthy. Just what would be some of the talking points you would have?
Yeah. So from a workout perspective, I would say to either bring dumbbells into your classroom. That's one set of dumbbells, or invest in a suspension trainer. I think that's such an underrated piece of equipment. It is easy to carry from place to place. Yeah. You just throw it on the back of your classroom door, shut the door, and you can get in a great workout in 30 minutes. And so from that perspective, being able to not have to leave the location you're at and get to another location, a different location to work out, I think is huge for a lot of teachers. Yeah. And we do have tons of teachers who do workouts inside of their classrooms. So that's huge. That's a big deal. If we are talking about basically other aspects, time management is something that we would talk to them about, because that's huge when you have a lot of things going on. Time management and being able to not major in the minors is massive for a lot of teachers, and to say, okay, this deserves my attention right now, this does not. And being able to differentiate between those two is really, really big for teachers. And it's very freeing mentally for them as well.
So I'm looking at suspension trainers online right now. And so it looks like they're about $150. Is that a fair? I mean, I'm sure they're all over the place, but according to verywellfit.com, which was the first result I got on my Google search, the best overall is the TRX Strong System at Dick's. is what it
Yeah.
said. I don't know. But is that something is that we were talking about, something like that, where they can Google search that and bring that to their classroom?
100%. So TRX is like the big main brand, but there are tons of other ones. We have seen some for like $50. We've seen some for $60. The range is pretty big, but because TRX is like the big brand, they're going to be more expensive.
What about dieting? What about eating on those busy days? Again, I'm looking for just kind of those principles that people should follow when they are trying to come up with the meals for those days.
Yeah. Do you want to take this one?
Oh, you got it, girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of our teachers who do a lot of wraps. So they'll do like a lower-ish carb tortilla, and then they'll do some chicken or turkey or something like that and some vegetables, because it's really easy to eat on the go. Like a salad, you're not going to be able to eat that when you're driving in the car. It's just, you're not going to be able to do that. And even sometimes like a burger is going to be more difficult to eat in the car as well. Burgers are just messy for the most part. So having a wrap tends to be a really big thing for a lot of our teachers. If we're talking about like fast food types of things, like if you're having to stop and get fast food, look for something that has a decent amount of protein. And I would go grilled over fried, which I feel like is kind of common sense for a lot of people, like go grilled over fried. My go-to is the grilled chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A. That is like top notch. And sometimes if I'm lacking in protein for the day, I will ask for an extra chicken breast, an extra like grilled chicken breast, and I'll put 2 of them on the sandwich and eat them, because I'm getting twice the amount of protein and not a crazy amount of carb or crazy amount of calories in excess with that extra chicken breast. Goodness. I was about to say patty.
Don't forget the sriracha sauce.
Oh yeah, the sriracha sauce.
Well, Raegan, I was going to ask you, okay, that's a great, now we don't have a ton, Chick-fil-A is big. I mean, it's big up here. People love it. Great customer service, but it's probably not as big as it is down in North Carolina, South Carolina. So Raegan, do you have another, and I know I'm jumping ahead in the questions, but you brought up Chick-fil-A. You brought up your go-to item, Lauren. Raegan, do you have a go-to item, not at Chick-fil-A, but if somebody's driving down the road and they're like, okay, I need to eat dinner, where do I go real quick? Do you have something they should get?
Oh, goodness. Well, honestly, most of the time we stop at a gas station and get a protein bar. So if we're going on long trips, we will either bring our own snacks. We love snacks. And when I say snacks, it's normally protein based. So we do the protein chips from Quest. Love them. There's a new bar called, it's a Barbell. Is the company, it's Barbell, and they have a cashew caramel bar. It's amazing.
She's literally raved about this for like the past 3 weeks.
Yes.
I'm looking this up. Keep going.
And then the one bars are winners all the time. But yes, most of the time if we're on the road, if I'm not with my family who loves, who has their own favorites, fast food restaurants. But most times I'm traveling with Lauren, we stop at a gas station and just get a protein bar until we reach our destination. And then we make sure we get us some real good feeling food at a nice restaurant somewhere.
So I have not seen these Barbell bars, but they look really, really good.
They are very good.
Okay. But then you mentioned the one bars are pretty good, because I mean, let's be honest. You go to any gas station and there's like literally 50 kinds of protein bars these days. And I don't know what I should be looking for. What do you look for as you pick your protein bars?
Yeah. So I don't really consider it a protein bar unless it has above 19 grams of protein in the bar.
Okay.
Personally. And then the second thing we look for is a good carb to protein ratio. We like our carbs and protein to be pretty similar. So if I have 20 grams of protein, I'm not looking for a bar that's going to have 60 grams of carbs. It's normally 20 grams of protein and like 24, 26 grams of carbs. And then the fats stick around 7 to 13 grams.
Okay.
That right there is a solid protein bar. You know, you're going to be getting the bang for your buck and the bang for your calories. So if it's got a good amount of protein and low calories, it's going to be great.
Okay.
So the Special K bars, I bypass. The Cliff bars, I look over them. I'm really looking at Quest and One and now Barbell.
Okay. Well, I love that. Like, that's a rule. That's the, like the things I want to know is like, okay, the 19 grams of protein, keep the carbs and the protein about the same. I mean, those are the things like, I don't, a lot of people don't know. They look at these and they're like, okay, that one's got 50 grams of protein in it, but it's also got 400 calories. And you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you've talked about carbs a few times. And I've heard everything from, carbs are terrible, stay away, to carbs are great. I mean, what is the truth about carbs? What would you say?
Yeah. Carbs are a fantastic source of energy. Since keto has become a big deal, and actually, if we're going to go way back to like the Atkins diet back in like the early 90s, they've gotten a really bad rap over the last 30-ish years. Yeah, carbs have. But at the end of the day, carbs are just a different energy source, and there is nothing wrong with them. Carbs do not inherently make you fat, which I think is kind of the lie or the notion that a decent amount of the keto community pushes, but that's not true. There's just no research to back that up. Now, there is research that shows that if you are someone who suffers with epilepsy, that going keto and removing a decent amount of carbs can and possibly may be really beneficial to control the epilepsy and the epileptic episodes. And so that may be something that they need to ask your doctor about. Don't just start that because I said that, because we are not doctors, but to talk with your doctor about. But if you're someone who works out and you enjoy eating carbs, cutting them from your diet is not something that you're going to be able to continue to do forever. And so, you don't have to do that in order to lose fat. And what I think is interesting too, when people talk about carbs are bad, what they're typically saying is foods with a lot of carbs and fats are very high calorically. So if we're talking about donuts or pizza or things like that, they would consider those carbs, but in all actuality, the calories from carbs and the calories from fats are actually very similar. And so basically it's foods that are hyper processed that you just don't want to eat all the time. And that's just going to help you from an overall health perspective, and probably from a body fat perspective as well.
Yeah.
You talked about energy. With energy, I think caffeine. What's your guys' take on caffeine?
I drink 3 cups of coffee a day.
Okay.
If you don't have any sort of heart issue, you're good to go. Caffeine is a great appetite suppressant, and it can help give you energy. Now, what it cannot do is basically be your main factor of energy because you're not sleeping. So if it's because you're choosing, to binge Netflix at night and only get like 4 hours of sleep, that's probably not going to help you much. But I am a huge advocate for caffeine. However, with that being said, if you're someone who suffers from anxiety, or like you're just very, very stressed, you may want to reduce the amount of caffeine that you eat that you drink, because that can play into effect with anxiety.
So we're going to go back to gas stations, and you guys are doing a great job. I'm just rapid firing, asking every question I can think of because this is so entertaining. So let's go back to the gas station for a minute.
Yeah.
You have like this whole section of energy drinks. Good or bad? All those energy drinks that you see at the gas station, are they stay away? Are they good? What about if there's 0 calories? What if they say no sugar? Like, again, what's your thoughts there?
Yeah. Do you want to take this? Or are we good?
Oh, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is, so if you're drinking them every single day, that may not be the best thing for your overall health. And it's really not great for your teeth. There is actually a lot of research to talk about like teeth decay and like gum regeneration. And so degeneration, excuse me. And so, you know, from like that perspective, it may not be the best. And then, you know, we've had some clients who drink 2 a day and we're like, hey, maybe we need to, you know, cut back on that. But if it's, you know, a few times a week, I don't see a huge issue with that. Now, if they're like, some of the monsters are like crazy calories, you know, if you cut from that one to a 0 calorie one, you're going to save yourself a lot of calories just in that one little swap. But as long as you're not, you know, drinking multiple ones a day, you're probably good.
Okay. Let's talk supplements for a minute.
Yeah.
You guys have talked a lot about protein. Do you think should you get your protein from food, or do you think protein shakes are good? Just anything with supplements that come to your mind?
Yeah. I am a huge advocate for getting in as much protein as you can from solid foods, but we also regularly intake protein bars. We have actually partnered with 2 different types of protein companies. So we have a coffee protein company called Chike that we have partnered with, and the taste of their products are phenomenal. They're fantastic. And so we recommend, you know, those. We've also partnered with PE Science, and their protein's great. It's great for mixing if you're making like protein pancakes, or even shakes or anything like that. They're a fantastic source as well. But for the most part, I would say try and get as much protein from just regular natural foods as much as possible. Other supplements, I love creatine. I'm a huge advocate for creatine. That's probably the most researched supplement on the market. The only kind of things with creatine is that if you are taking it, it can cause you to hold water, because that's what it does. It tries to saturate the muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can hold on to water and you can look a little more bloated. So if you're someone who's trying to kind of cut, that may not be the best option for you. And then a vitamin D supplement is great. I've noticed over the last year, because a lot of people were inside more with COVID and everything like that, taking a vitamin D supplement, I think, is fantastic for a lot of people. And then just an overall multivitamin, I think is beneficial. We are big advocates for the gummies because they taste good. So
brush your teeth afterwards.
Brush your teeth.
Okay. Okay, so there's a lot of good stuff there. One more question I had before we'll move into a few of our like quick hitters. A lot of people, I see it all the time, will go to the gym, they'll start a workout program for a few weeks, a month, or they'll start a diet for a month, and then they'll just fall off. They'll have a couple bad days in a row, and then it just goes away for whatever reason. What are your best tips for avoiding that falling off the wagon?
Yeah.
You have a great analogy.
Okay, so I'll give the analogy in a second, but I think it's interesting. When we fall off the wagon with anything else that's vital to our health, we jump back on real quick. So let's say you forget to brush your teeth one morning. You're not just going to stop brushing your teeth for the rest of your life, you know, and you're not going to take a month off from brushing your teeth. And so I'd written an analogy a while ago, but the idea of like stopping working out, or, you know, falling off the wagon and staying off the wagon with working out, is the equivalent to staying underwater just because you fell in. Like you wouldn't do that. That doesn't make sense to us. But because we have had these all or nothing diets pushed on a lot of people for years, They think, oh, because I messed up one day, that means I have ruined all of my progress. But if we look at it this way, let's say you were not on any sort of nutrition, you were eating way over your calories. Let's say for 2 days, you decided to eat in a calorie deficit. But then after that, you went back to eating what you were eating before. You would not make any progress in a positive way. So it's the same thing in reverse. Like, just because you have 2-3 bad days, let's say a week where you're off your calories, or you're just like, eating like trash, whatever you want to say, that 1 week in the grand scheme of things is not going to make or break your nutrition or your diet or your progress. And so showing yourself that grace, I think Raegan talked about it earlier on, like showing yourself grace and choosing to learn why you fell off the wagon and what triggered you. Yeah. Whether that's like, if you're someone who struggles with binge eating, like what triggered that? And then really going and realizing, okay, this thought caused me to do this insecurity caused me to go here, and choosing to learn from those things instead of taking them as I lost, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're just joining us, this is episode number 83. I'm with Lauren Ross and Raegan. Is it Raegan McCullough or Raegan?
Yeah, that's
I'm sorry, McCullough.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. They're the co-creators of the Healthy Teacher. And they're doing some really cool things. They're based out of North Carolina, but they're picking up clients all across the United States. They're going to be in, is it 13 states here by the end of the year? Is that correct? Or maybe
12.
Okay. 12. Hey, who's counting, right? You guys are doing
right.
great.
Maybe 13. Yeah.
Maybe we'll have 13 after this episode, right?
There we go.
And I want to give a special shout out. This episode is sponsored by Viterbo University. Viterbo actually reached out to me and said, hey, Lauren Ross absolutely killed it back on episode number 39. Our educators need this. They want to know more about fitness, nutrition, mental health. And so they actually asked if we could re-record another episode with Lauren. And that's why we're here today. And by the way, Viterbo has a non-thesis, which sounds like music to my ears, Masters of Arts and Education option for anybody who's interested in getting their master's in education, which a lot of educators are getting these days. So we're going to move into some of our quick hitters. Like, I literally think I could have asked 30 more questions and I had them written down. I want to talk about sleep. Maybe we'll talk about that here in a minute. Some time management, but there's so many cool things. You guys are like a wealth of knowledge. So anybody who wants to like get this, and I'm looking at your website, I mean, you can get coached by Lauren and Raegan. You can ask them these questions. If there's a question I'm not asking that you're like, hey, I want to know about this. How do they do this? What do you recommend? I would encourage you signing up and ask, so you could ask them those questions and get coached by two professionals here. Okay. So Lauren, we asked some of these same questions, but I want to see if these have changed or if they're still the same. We've got Raegan in the house, so maybe Raegan's going to bring a different perspective. But if we're visiting North Carolina, and maybe explain exactly where at North Carolina you guys are at, where's one place we got to check out?
Yeah. So we are in the Fayetteville area of North Carolina. I think two of the things that Fayetteville is known for are the military bases. There's Pope Air Force Base and then there's Fort Bragg. And I think because of that, Fayetteville has a very high value on honor, which I love and I think is really cool. But you're new to the Fayetteville area.
So we love breweries.
We do.
So we hit up, we have one pretty close. What's it called?
Yeah. Dirtbag Brewing Company.
Yes.
Nice.
And it's super cool. Like, it has like a little playground for your kids and it's very good food. They have ahi tuna there. So super impressed. Like, it's a bougie place. So yeah, I would say definitely hit that place up if you like good beer and good food.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Hey, so last time, Lauren, we talked about the ring light that you purchased. So you can't use ring light, but I want to know, like, what is one like really like sneaky good purchase that, and I don't hear from both of you here. So both of you be ready to answer this. what's one like small purchase, maybe less than $50 that has just positively impacted your life?
So I am going to say, and this, I mean, this could be for guys, but probably maybe not. We just had a really good sale on mascara. And so we bought that. And that is actually, we're very excited about that because we use pretty expensive mascara. So, I mean, you know, if you're a dude and you use mascara, cool. But
so our audience is probably greater than 50-50 female. So a little bit more detail here. Was it an online sale? Was it, I mean, give us some details here.
Yeah, it was an online sale. Well, I think it was actually an overall sale, and we were able to get it for like 50% off. So Raegan just went in and bought a ton. She went to grab it.
I bought 4 for us so she could have 2 and I could have 2. Which way do I turn it? This way. Hang on.
Okay. How do you even say that?
Yeah, I'm not going to try.
It's from Land Company. That's what we know.
Okay. So what was there? I mean, you said online. Was there a certain store?
Ulta had a 50% off.
Ulta.
Yes.
Good
so
old.
This is our purchase. But honestly, though, if you're talking about fitness, Lauren's answer actually is creatine. She loves creatine, and that's, if we're going to a supplement store, that's what we're going to get.
Yeah, that's true.
So what kind of creatine are we looking for? I mean, there's all kinds of creatine, right?
Yeah.
And there's
I would, if you're kind of worried about bloat and trying to expedite the process of getting your muscles saturated, I would go with a micronized creatine. It just helps absorb better. Some people, it can actually help if you have certain digestive issues. So I would recommend the micronized. It really doesn't matter the brand. Some brands that are a little bit more well-known are gonna shoot the price up, but as long as it is a micronized version of creatine, creatine monohydrate, you're good to go.
Okay, good. I get mine off of, actually, I consulted with Lauren about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to just get some creatine, and she said exactly the same thing that you guys told her. So I'm getting mine off of Amazon for super cheap. I mean, it said I followed what you recommended, the micronized, and I got the pills, and I just popped those in the morning, and that sounds really bad, but I just take those in the morning, and I've been liking the results, is what I should say.
That's cool.
Okay, what is one book that has greatly influenced your life?
Oh, Lauren. Well, we haven't read it yet, but we follow the author, and he is amazing. It's
he follows him too. James.
Oh, James Smith. He has a book called "It's Not Your Average Diet." Not a diet book. And we are super excited to order that book. We haven't yet, and I know it's going to be one of our top reads.
Oh, yeah, it's really good. I wasn't sure if he came out with a new one. James Smith it's a fun read. He's a little brash at times. He's like Australian or something, but it's really fun. So he's got 2 books, Not a Life Coach and Not a Diet Book. And Not a Diet Book is really good. Absolutely. You'll enjoy it. You'll love it.
Yeah.
I think he's huge on the calorie deficit too. I'm almost certain. Yeah. Okay, Lauren, what about you?
So I tend to read way more articles and research papers. Those really geek me out. And I recently have been pretty big on a lot of like quantum physics type research, and just seeing how that correlates and corresponds with health and fitness and people's mentalities and what they think of themselves and what that attracts. So like the law of attraction and things like that as well. And how that really does play into people who are consistently able to live healthy and people who aren't.
Wow. You kind of lost when you said quantum physics. I was like, whoa, like way over my head. But then you brought it down to something I kind of understand. So I didn't know there was that connection there. So I might not have to be so intimidated when I hear that word next time.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Basically, if you can kind of think law of attraction,
Okay.
you're kind of there.
Okay. Okay. Speaking of law of attraction, I don't know if that's a great segue or not, but what is one phone app that has positively influenced your life?
Oh, phone app. Well, MyFitnessPal is amazing.
That's what I was gonna say.
And then my other one is called The Secret, and it kind of goes along with the law of attraction. So it helps you like plan financially.
Oh,
And it sends you like these fake checks, and you have to spend the whole check. So it basically gets you out of a mindset of lack and gets you in a mindset of abundance. And so you can plan for the abundance that you are, striving for, attracting.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fun.
wow. I've never heard. Okay. I'm looking that up. Okay. Lauren, what about you?
Yeah, I would say MyFitnessPal was a really, really big one just in my initial like start for health and fitness. And then what we use to make all of our content for social media is an app called Canva. And that has been
Awesome.
huge. It makes things so much easier to create content.
I remember you saying that last time, I think, and that was the
probably
first time
did.
I knew there was a phone app for Canva, because we use Canva all the time for our social media posts for school and also for my stuff too. Let's talk about social media for a second. I mean, I'm going to focus on Instagram for a minute. It could be a little intimidating scrolling through Instagram and you see all these fitness models, and Raegan, you talked about it earlier, like not getting too caught up in that. Like, what do you guys recommend? I mean, it's so tempting to sit there and just like look at all these people who are just ripped, or these females who are, have these quote unquote perfect bodies. Like, what do you recommend? Are you guys fans of Instagram? Do you stay away? What do you guys say?
So we don't stay away, but we do remind ourselves daily that the goal is overall health and longevity. It's not abs. It's not biceps, it's not good lats. Those are great things and cool goals. But at the end of the day, can you move without pain? Can you take a deep breath? Can you walk? Because when you really think about it, we have people who are not as fortunate as us and who are, disabled, and they would give anything to walk around with your big body that you think is big, but to be able to walk in it. Mm-hmm. So to be able to take yourself back and be like, okay, listen, like I may not be as thin as I want to be. I may not be, 6-pack ready, but can I walk? Can I move? Can I get, my daily routine done? Yes. And I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah. And to kind of add to that a little bit, if you are unable to do that, like if you can't, like if you do just get tons of insecurity from scrolling through, I would say one, understand that the algorithms of social media are very, very smart. So the second that you click on a fitness type of page, or even if you go and zoom in on a picture, the algorithms pick that up. And so the next time you get on your home page, you are 25% more likely to see more fitness things. And that increases every time you click. So when you think everyone around me is just super ripped, no, they're not. You have created that on your page because you clicked on maybe five people. And so that's all that you see, because Instagram, if we're talking about Instagram, they know that that's what you are like honed in on. Mm-hmm. And so to keep you on the page for longer, that's basically how they utilize that. But if you are someone who gets insecure, like I would say, stop following anyone, even if that's us. I don't think we don't post many like pictures where we are like very unclothed, if
Yeah.
if you will. But your mental health is more important because your physical health will be a result of your mental health.
Okay.
And so if your mental health is off, it's going to be really difficult to get your physical health in order.
I appreciate you answering that, because you guys kind of ride a fine line with, trying to have people get healthy and trying to show results, but also the mental health thing is so tricky. I could imagine there's some fine lines you have to kind of navigate there in your positions.
Yeah.
What is your best tips for being productive? Earlier, you talked about like the time management. Are there specific things that you do? And it can be time management or just productivity tips.
Yeah. One of the big things, I just read this last week, I think, that getting in a 20-minute workout in the morning causes you to be 15% like more productive throughout the day. So like if you can start your day with any sort of like workout, anything like that, that helps to increase productivity. But also I think a big thing for a lot of teachers are type A, and they kind of have that, they want to control things that they may not necessarily need to control. And so being able to say, I think I said it earlier, this is worth my energy, this is not.
Yeah.
This is worth my energy, this is not. And sitting down and really figuring that out. One, it allows for them to create mental space in their brain to put things in that are actually needed. Teachers tend to have, I think you gave this analogy, they tend to have a lot of tabs open in their mind, and being able to close out the tabs that are not beneficial for them will automatically increase productivity in a lot of people.
Perfect. Love that. Hey, what is the big goal? Just any big goal is it just kind of expansion right now? I'm just kind of curious what the big goal is for Lauren and Raegan with the Healthy Teacher.
Oh, yeah, the big goal. Of course we want to expand. Of course we want to be in every state in America and then, venture out to other countries. But, I don't want to get so big where we miss who we have now. So I think the big goal is actually the small goal. It's the primary goal of reaching those well that you already have. That's reaching good. Them well, training them up well, giving them all that you have right now, focusing on what you have. And the end goal, the end result will be expansion. Yeah. But if we focus on that, we'll overlook who we have now. And I think the people in front of us are our most important goal.
That's good. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. We talked a lot. We've covered a lot of topics. We're right at about an hour. This has been a ton of fun, as I figured it would be. Is there anything else that you wish we would have talked about that we just didn't get to?
Oh man, I feel like we literally covered.
Oh, well, you know me, I've got something.
Oh,
so
there we go.
We've had a lot of questions. Teachers join the Healthy Teacher and they're like, oh my gosh, there's so many things here. Where do I start? Do I have to do it all? And my answer to them is, what is your main focus? Or do you need help with nutrition? Then start with our nutrition. Do you need help with working out? Then start with our workouts. Don't get so caught up in this game and team aspect where you're trying to earn points and this is just another thing on your list. That is there to motivate you and to encourage you. It's not there to be your main goal. The main goal is to get you healthy. And wherever you need to start, we offer that resource for you.
Yeah, that's good.
So like I mentioned earlier, we have personalized nutrition, customizable workouts, and daily investment questions that coincide with our Learn page that really help you learn fitness, nutrition, and mental health so that you can make wise decisions. We have all these things, but you utilize what's best for you right now. And then you can go on to something else if you desire to. With that being said, I didn't get to hit on this, but the Healthy Teacher is very, very personal to me because like I said, my dad was a middle school guidance counselor. And what happened was when my mom was building a charter school, she'd come home and be so tired and climb into the bed a lot of times really early. So my dad was taking on extra roles at home. Legally, he wasn't able to discuss what was going on in the school, but we had people later on come to us and tell us that he saved them from committing suicide. So he had a lot going on in his mind. And 2 weeks before this event that I'm about to discuss, I remember him carrying a pile of clothes, and he said, "You guys just aren't going to know what to do if I'm not here anymore." And looking back, I can hear it in his voice. I can see it in his composure. He was very, very stressed. And what happened was he ended up forgetting to refill a prescription that he had to thin his blood. So his blood got thick. He had a blood clot, ended up having a heart attack. I was only 16. He was only 49, and ended up passing away. And I learned so much from his death. I learned that there is a legacy that I'm able to leave behind. I've learned that there's an impact that my life will have on people. But now my passion is to tell educators self-care is not selfish. And putting yourself last so that you can put other people first will ultimately put those people last, because you're not going to be here to serve them anymore. You will drive yourself down to a place you can't come back from if you do not focus on yourself. And I'm a prime living example of that. My dad, like I said, left an amazing legacy, and he has a powerful testimony. And I'm able to use the Healthy Teacher to reach the same people group. And what a story of redemption. What a story of redemption. If I can just save one person from going down that same path, I will be fulfilled.
It's a great story. I mean, it's a heartbreaking story, but I can see why you're passionate about helping people who are going through mental health issues, or just all the added stress of being an educator, having a family, everything that's going on. So, hey guys, this has been really good. Just like I figured, you guys were awesome. You guys are doing some amazing things. We mentioned earlier, like the Instagram, the Facebook, where's the best way for people to connect with you?
I would say either I have a pretty consistent presence on LinkedIn, and post a lot of our content there, but also our Instagram handle is _healthy_teacher_, and that's also our Facebook page as well. So those are the two like primary places, and then my LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. If you want to visit our website, it's super simple, just thehealthyteacher.com. And you can schedule a Zoom call with us where we can give you your own personal tour through the Healthy Teacher, show you what it entails, what it will feel like once you join. So we would love to have you guys on with us through Zoom. If that's intimidating, DM us on one of our social media links. We're fine with that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, you guys were awesome. Thank you so much. Lauren Ross and Raegan McCullough from The Healthy Teacher, just crushing it right now. They're looking for that 13th state to add. So hit them up.
Let's go.
Yes.
So, hey guys, enjoy your weekend here, and we'll be in touch. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.